How are you, Sam?
Now, I'm sure you saw the debate, and
Yeah.
I imagine that you bristled at Cruz's what's the word I'm looking for? That he wasn't quite as serious, perhaps.
I'm
right?
sorry?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't see this as being settled by any means, correct?
No, I don't. I was perturbed by the exchange. I in the sense that I don't think it really gets either man really gets at the issue that really belongs to all of us. I mean, this isn't really, it's not a gotcha question. It's not, I did bristle at Cruz comparing it, the question of constitutional eligibility to be president, to a New York Times gotcha article. It's really not like that. I also bristle at the notion that there's something wrong in discussing it. You know, this all came to the fore after the Washington Post actually brought it up with Trump, and then we began this conversation, which very often begins after Trump brings something up. He does set the agenda for sure on all of these issues. However, in this case, I actually heard it a little bit better as you replayed it. I have never heard it argued that to be natural born, one's parents have to be born in the United States. As I understand the whole theory, it is naturalized American parents American at the time of the birth of a child is what we're looking at. But that's almost an aside. What we don't have here really is the kind of transparency that I think Senator Cruz owes the American people so that we can make up our own mind. I saw a poll today that showed that 25% of Republicans think that a Canadian birth does disqualify Senator Cruz as an eligibility marker. However, it is something that people have to decide. I don't believe it's going to be legislated to, or that maybe even the courts, it depends who's your judge. I mean, I think it's something that we all have to think through and understand what the intent of the founders was, whether we still care. I mean, the thing that's interesting and ironic here is that Senator Cruz and so many of his supporters, and certainly I'm one of these people, believe very fervently in the founders' intentions as far as what we should take from the Constitution. We cannot project or invent things. And indeed, if we go to that aspect of the debate, there is a very large set of jurisprudence and theory that does indeed equate the natural-born definition with the founders' intent. And I think that the notion that this is settled and therefore we shouldn't even be talking about it is more of a modern or postmodern interpretation of what we actually get from the debate going back to the 18th century.
You know, but the thing is that people who support Cruz don't like the other candidates, so they have to figure out a way to support him. And the way to do that is to just sort of disregard this issue because I'm not even going to look at that because I want to support him. And fortunately, that's an emotional response that really ought to be examined because it's not rational. But I want to point out that you said that you'd never heard it argued that both parents need to be born in the USA in order for them, right?
For the child.
That's him moving the Overton window. It's a very clever tactic.
Clever,
if
but
you
it's
think
slick.
that, then maybe you're this far across, and in that case, none of the candidates are good enough for you. So then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Let's leave the whole thing alone. Right?
Yeah, and I find that very, I mean, I really expect better of him because I think that is not what he should be doing. I think that there's a way, and indeed, given, I mean, as we've talked about, we are post-constitutional. There are very few aspects of the constitutional framework for our government that are observed, and no one pays the consequences. I mean, you know, we still have President Obama without any kind of impeachment movement for numerous chronic abuses of constitutional government. So it's kind of like an indulgence, even to be having this argument on one side.
Release the enemies of the state. Just releasing them.
Well,
here you
then
go.
there's
Off
that.
You go.
I mean,
with a slap on the butt and
No, there are many levels on which we can go, but in terms of this particular argument, it's sort of It is what it is, and I think that it can be taken to the people. There was an interesting article by a Fordham law professor that actually preferred that it goes to the people to be debated and discussed. He does think there is the constitutional argument against Senator Cruz being natural born, but he personally does not think it really belongs to just a few judges. He does think it's something we need to discuss. For that to happen, Senator Cruz has to stop playing games. He needs to tell us if there is a consular report of his birth, which is what American citizens living abroad routinely fill out for children born on foreign soil, whether you're a military personnel or just a American citizen living somewhere else. And that is actually how the child, the baby, is brought into the American fold.
Considered American.
It's something that everybody gets if you're abroad. Now, it's possible he doesn't have one. It's possible, given his domestic situation, his parents' situation. That's not his fault, right? I mean, it's really not. What happens at your birth is just not your fault. But on the other hand, the founders thought this was an important issue. The paper should be out there. If it exists, it should be out there. A birth certificate is not enough. I don't know anyone who really was contesting his mother not having been born in America. He put that out, and he does it in such a peeved way. He's doing this in terms of he's grudging it. I'm sorry.
But that's true. But the father, it was whether the father was born. Both parents need to be born in the United States.
Right. The father is not born. We know that. We know he was Cuban by birth. But he.
I want to. Yeah. We're running out of time, and I didn't get to talk as much with you as I wanted, but I just came up with this new theory. Nazis had a book, right? It was called Mein Kampf. In fact,
yes, they did.
In fact, there was a movement during the Second World War to replace the Bible with Mein Kampf, and basically to replace Jesus with Hitler. That was their plan, to sort of take over the church.
Yeah.
Does that make Nazism a religion? Shouldn't it? Isn't that what qualifies?
Well, I don't know. I don't see the divine aspect. I just see the dictatorial edict.
You don't see the divine aspect of Heil Hitler?
Well, I don't know.
Of pledging your allegiance to a supreme being? It's interesting, right?
Well, it is. It is. Maybe the beginning of a great religion. One of the world's great religions.
No, but I'm saying here's our problem. We're equating world religions. This is a trap that we fall into. I'm in New York, and I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they're like, they don't know what's in the Quran and the Hadith. But they just think, well, it's just another religion. What's the big deal? Some people are zealots. We got to get rid of those guys.
Exactly.
But I don't believe it is. And so what actually makes a religion? And so I just thought I'd put that out there. Diana West, thank you so much for coming on.
It's the postmodern version of religion.
That's right. And we have no clue. We have no clue. But thanks to you, we get a little bit more clued in every time you're on. All right, I got to take a break. I'll be right back.